In today's video, we will be replacing the spark plugs in my 1999 Toyota 4Runner. This will be applicable for all 3.4 liters or the 5VZ-FE engine, which is also in Tacomas. It's in some Tundras. There's a handful of different years that this would be applicable for, but we are going to be changing out the 6 spark plugs in this engine. Now, to complete this job, we're going to need a few things, of course, and the most important is going to be our spark plugs. So you can see here, these are going to be part number 90919-01192. These are all Toyota spark plugs. You can also buy aftermarket spark plugs as well. These ran me about $3 a piece buying through Toyota, so pretty cheap. If you go straight to the dealership, they might charge you a little bit more. Typically they have internet deals, so to speak, rather than just walking into the dealership, so just a heads up there. You're also going to need a 5/8" spark plug socket. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver in order to pick off some of the spark plug wires, and then a 10mm socket as well in order to take out the intake, which covers the passenger side spark plugs, and then also to remove the ignition coils on the passenger side. We'll also require a 10mm socket. Not shown here, but will most likely also be needed are some extensions in order to reach down into the spark plug wells. And then also you are going to need a torque wrench to torque everything down to 13 foot-pounds. Alright, our first step now that we got the hood popped is to remove these vacuum lines right here and also this one on the back, and then we're going to undo both of these clamps right here so that we can remove that portion of the intake. And this is a 10mm. And now we should be able to wiggle this free. There we go. And now with that portion of the intake sat off to the side, we have access to each of the spark plugs on the passenger side. So we're going to go ahead and remove these coil packs. And then the 10mm that you use to get the intake off is the same 10mm that you can use to get the coil packs off. And you can actually see here that this is a non-original Toyota coil pack. I've actually noticed this before as I've been in here, but you would typically have a little Toyota sticker that would show right here. So this one appears to be aftermarket. We can also see that it has a non-original screw that holds it in as well. Okay, so now we have number 2 out. And so now, I failed to show this on the first 2, but what you're going to do is you're going to undo this electrical clip from the back side of the coil pack, and then you're going to take a flathead screwdriver. I don't know if you necessarily have to do this, but you can take a flathead screwdriver and loosen this clip right here. And that way you can pull this wire off, this spark plug wire off of the coil pack and remove the entire piece. Alright, so now you've got a 5/8" socket for the spark plugs along with an extension, so you can go ahead and drop that down, and then typically if it is a spark plug socket, you'll have a little piece of felt or rubber in there that will be able to grip the spark plug. And then I've got an adapter to a 1/2" drive, and I'm just gonna pop this loose like so. And so then once you have it loosened all the way up, you should be able to remove the whole thing in one go. So now here you can see the old spark plug and the new ones. This old one is very dirty. There's a little bit of buildup on it as well. You can see how clean this new one is. So we're going to go ahead and drop each one of the 3 new ones down in, and we will torque them to 13 foot-pounds, button up this side, and then move to the driver's side. I'd also like to note that it looks like the end of this old spark plug is actually melted in comparison to the new one, so that's a little bit odd. Never seen that before. Okay, so now we have our new spark plug loaded into the socket, and we're going to lower it down, give it a hand tighten, snug it up with a ratchet, and then use the torque wrench. And once you do have your spark plugs out, I wouldn't wait around too long to put the new ones in, because if anything were to fall into the spark plug holes, that's going to go right down into the combustion chamber and sit right on top of that piston. Okay, now you can see we're set to 13 foot-pounds, so we're going to go ahead and torque this first one down. Okay, now we're putting in our last remaining coil pack, and it can be very easy to swap up these spark plug wires, so it's probably best to label them whenever you initially take them off. But nonetheless, we've got this one set back down in place, so we'll reconnect the wire. Okay, now that we've got this wire reconnected, we'll go ahead and do the electrical clip. So we'll pop that in. Seems to be good. And then we will line up our 10mm. Go ahead and finger tighten it a little bit. And then go in with our 10mm ratchet and just snug it up. Okay, so now we have all of our vacuum lines back in place. We've got the piece of the intake here, the air silencer back on, so now we can move to the driver's side. And as you can see, the driver's side is a little bit more tricky. We've got a lot more wires in the way, but you can see each of the spark plug boots, and there's one in the back as well. So we're going to start with this first one. And taking it out is as simple as just pulling up. See, my diagnostic box likes to fall out of place. Remove the second one. Let's see if we can get that one a little tougher. You got that one out. And the third one is a bit more tricky. Way back here. See if we can pop that one free. Give it a little twist, it seems, and pull it out as well. Alright, now in an attempt to make a super long extension bit to reach down past all of these hoses and wires, I've adapted this half-inch extension to a 3/8 inch extension with the 5/8 inch socket on the end, and I put a napkin in this middle joint to keep everything tight. So let's go ahead and give this a go. And now it seems to be working pretty well, so 1 for 3 on this side so far. And there's one. Okay, now we're on to the middle cylinder, so I've got it in place now. And in pulling out the second spark plug, this one's actually a different brand, so we got 2 different types of spark plug in here. And finally, we've got the third one out, so now we can go ahead and put the 3 new ones in on the driver's side. And same procedure as what we did on the passenger side, so holster your spark plug and then stick it on down in. Now that we've got each of these spark plugs back tightened up, what we can now do is put each of the spark plug boots back into place and pop each one down. And with that, we can do one last run back through, make sure everything is tightened down. We've pulled everything out of the engine bay, and we can go ahead and give it a start. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and give it a crank. All right, everything sounds good. Good RPMs, no lights on the dash besides the door. Seems like we did a good job. So there you have it. It is a pretty easy job. Took me about 2 hours, and that's with filming, so shouldn't take too terribly long. It's not difficult. There's not a lot of parts that we have to remove, and it's always good to replace your spark plugs every 100,000 miles or so to keep your engine running at optimal performance. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and with that, I'll catch up in the next one.